I've thought about it. Honestly, I don't know if I would even want to start or create something from scratch. It would be really neat. I would probably do that for myself personally instead of selling it for a profit. Um, I just genuinely love antique furniture and old stuff that has history so much more that I would prefer to use my time on pieces like that just to.
Welcome to the Next Big Flip podcast, where it's not just about flipping for profit, but flipping for purpose. I'm your host, Lawan Diggs, author of The Craigslist Hustle and 20 Years of Flipper. Whether it's furniture, fashion, or just your mindset, we're here to help you take what you have and make it work. From everyday hustlers to unexpected side gigs, you'll hear real stories, real strategies, and maybe even find your next big flip. The one that gets you to your next moment. The next big flip. Let's get it. So as I'm looking at her TikTok page, it reads furniture flips and home projects. Then it says, welcome to my life. And so I have McKean here as our guest. Now, McKean, does that pretty much sum you up for this season of your life?
Oh, absolutely.
When I tell you, McKean, when I came across your page and just seeing everything you're doing, it's something about furniture flippers, but more importantly, like female furniture flippers are just really becoming popular right about now. And with you having over 100,000 followers on TikTok, I would say the same is starting to happen for you as well.
Absolutely. No, it's definitely interesting seeing, I guess, women finally get into fields that are like handymen. And so it's really funny to watch people like really hype us up and stuff like that. And it's just been really fun being able to share that experience.
That's awesome. Oh, I'm sorry for cutting you off, but that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that experience with the Next Big Flip audience. And so we are excited to hear your story.
Yeah.
Now tell me about yourself. Where you from? Where are you at and all that good stuff?
So I'm 26. I'm located in Bryan, Texas. I've lived here my entire life. And yeah, I recently just started flipping furniture about 2 years ago, and I decided to finally start sharing it with TikTok. And yeah, that's kind of how all this started.
Now, you said you recently started about 2 years ago. What led you to start flipping in the first place?
I had actually bought a house and didn't have a single piece of furniture. So I had a lot of high-end taste with a low budget. And so kind of had to make do with what I had. And so I would browse Facebook Marketplace, garage sales like that, and find kind of something that I had a vision for, and then just kind of took it from there and decided, well, I feel like I'm pretty handy, so I might as well give it a shot. And so then it kind of just kept on going because I enjoyed it so much. And then now I'm kind of doing it more for a profit than I am myself. I just keep doing what I love doing. So yeah, that's kind of how it started.
Did you kind of remember the first piece of furniture that you bought to restore?
Oh man, I remember the first big true flip that really put my experience to the test. Yes, and it was definitely one that I shouldn't have tried my first go round. I remember thinking back, now that I've been doing this for a while, thinking, wow, I could have done so many other cool things with that. But, you live and you learn. So that's just kind of now all the pieces that I do now, I always think back to that. And I'm like, I would actually do this instead of that. So,
and what was the piece again you cut out on me? You said it was a big, what was it?
I would say it was a buffet. It was from the early 1900s. I try to stick mainly to antiques, solid wood. It's just a whole lot easier for me to work with, in my opinion. And they just have so much more history. And it had been, all the doors were broken, hinges were broken. It was just a lot more work than what I would have chosen to start with. But That's just, it's hard to pass up a good deal.
That's true.
So I bought it and I was like, I could do something really cool with it. And I ended up sanding it down and just putting a clear poly coat on there. And what I didn't know at the time is that if you just put a clear top coat, it's going to turn yellow over time. And so if I had to do it over again, I would paint wash it to keep it from yellowing out. But, the more you learn.
That's true. The things we learn along the way. So now walk me through the process. So you bought your home, you don't have any furniture, but you decided to start getting furniture to restore. Now, do you have a background in this or did anyone help you?
Well, so my family or my dad has a background very much in carpentry and woodwork. So I've kind of just grown up around wood, had a projects that deal with wood. And so I had all the tools in the backgrounds, and I guess more of a mentor to learn from. He didn't deal much with furniture at all, but whenever I had questions as far as, hey, like, can I fix this? Like, is there a way to, put a new leg on? Or what about this countertop? Can I replace that? And so he would kind of help me with all that kind of stuff and give me his recommendations. So I probably wouldn't be as fine tuned as I am now without him for sure. I would have not just jumped straight into something without knowing what in the world was going on. But yeah, I do. I've grown up around woodworking, and all that kind of stuff. So that gives me a little bit more confidence than I would say the normal person.
That's pretty nice. Now, how did you get introduced into the idea of reselling? I heard you say that you started out because you bought a home without any furniture, but now you're doing more for profit. What led you to doing that?
Well, I'm always browsing on Facebook Marketplace, and, I would see people there's only two people really in my area that resell and flip furniture is what I would say. And so whenever I was shopping around, I would see their furniture pieces pop up, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy that they are, selling these things for, $600, $500. That's crazy when, I could go out and buy a dresser for $30. I was like, well, maybe there is a profit in. So I started kind of looking around and doing research. And I was like, well, okay, I'll just try it for a few pieces. And it ended up working out pretty dang good. So that's just kind of how I kept going. Was I sold my first piece and was like, okay, wow, this might be something that I could, profit from. And then it's just kind of blossomed into what it is now.
Do you find one particular piece of furniture sells better than another, like dressers or tables or beds?
Yeah, I would say definitely long dressers. Tall dressers do not sell at all, at least in my area. But long dressers for sure. Anything really unique with a lot of detailing, old pieces, anything with history. People like knowing history of things. So if you can say and date back to, like, for instance, you can estimate when stuff is made. They also like that. They just, I don't know. I guess that's kind of starting to be more in right now, I guess, with interior design and stuff like that. Pieces having character, old, history is really neat. So that right there is kind of what I have found.
Now, with a lot of that older furniture, those pieces can be very heavy. So do you have like somebody to help you out in the process of loading and hauling and all that good stuff?
I do. My parents, my whole family lives in town with me, and then my husband also. So it just depends on who's available at what time that they can go pick stuff up. And it's honestly pretty fun. My mom recently retired and is starting to do it alongside me a little bit, kind of doing her own pieces. But for the most part, she's the one that will come and we'll load stuff up together, which has been really fun to be able to do that with her.
Yeah, I was watching some of your TikTok videos and how you had your staging. You had your carpet out front, and I seen another person helping you. I said, I wonder, is that her mom? Is that a friend?
Yes, that is my mother.
Hey, don't we love our parents? That's too fun, too
Oh,
fun.
I know. Oh, I know. She's awesome.
Okay, let me ask you now, what do you usually find your best items? Is it thrift stores, garage sales, curbside pickup?
I would have to say all thrift stores around here are super overpriced, like Goodwill and all that stuff, sadly. I really, truly, Facebook Marketplace is always a hit. You just have to jump on stuff. That's a good deal. Like, you have to buy it within the hour that they list it, type of deal. Online auctions is another way that I choose to go. I'm willing to travel and hook up a trailer and go get a whole load. So within about an hour and a half, I'm willing to travel. So either really it's just Marketplace, and online auctions is the typical way I choose to go and find stuff.
Nice. So you said you're willing to hook up a trailer and go and get it. So when I'm looking at your TikTok, it looked like you had like a never ending garage. I was like, wow, that's a pretty nice size space. So you have space for a lot of this stuff.
Yes, yeah. So at my house, I personally have just my garage workshop. It's fairly small. It's just a normal size 2-car garage. And then at my parents' house, they only live 10 minutes from me, so I'm able to go and do some other work there. And so that's kind of where I keep my mom and I's antiques that really need to be in the air conditioning. So that's super nice. I think it's like 2,400 square feet just shop space. And so we have a lot of room to be able to collect and have projects going.
I said it kind of reminded me of Narnia. I looked, I said,
Hey,
that is a pretty big garage there.
yes, it was supposed to be a garage or workshop. And then I think my dad has given up that thought and has just given it over to us at this point. So
That's fun. Now, when it comes to getting your pieces, how do you know if something is worth flipping? Do you have any tips for beginners to spot value?
I would say stay away from particle board if you can. I know it can be a little bit difficult to spot that. I have been fooled. I was actually recently fooled. I thought it was real wood. You just really don't know. But I would say anything that looks like it's from IKEA or Target, just stay away. Anything that's unique and just pretty looking and eye catching, that's going to catch other people's eyes as well. So especially if you're starting out, you want to start with something that's simple and straightforward, not something that you have to fix and glue pieces together. And, you know, you just need something that doesn't need a whole lot of work to start off, because I did that and I very much got overwhelmed and regretted doing it that route. So something simple, something eye catching, and something probably small too, just to where, if you don't like it or if it's easy to carry around, that's a lot better than buying this huge bulky piece of furniture and then realizing I don't know what to do with it.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Now, with your husband, I think about my wife when I first got into buying and reselling washers and dryers. She's like, "What in the world are you doing? This is taking up a lot of space, a lot of time." But when I started making profit, she changed her mind. So, was your husband a little hesitant on the front end, or has he always supported you doing this?
Oh no, he's always supported me. He just kind of laughs. He thought this was just going to be a I don't know, a few month ordeal.
Right.
And he'll go out in the garage and be like, "Oh my gosh, what did you get now?" And he just jokes with me, like he just laughs about it, and he really does. He knows that I love doing that, and he'll help me with some of the pieces that need to get repaired and glued back together. He wants to be helpful, but yeah, he's like, "This is insane that it's grown to be this big. Like you, oh my goodness, I do not want to go and load a whole trailer of furniture with you, but I will."
That's fun. Now, what inspired you? Because it's one thing to do what you're doing, but what inspired you to start sharing your flipping journey on social media with others?
Well, so I've actually been on TikTok since, oh man, either 2019 or 2020. And like I had mentioned before, I've always been into like woodworking projects with my dad. And in 2020, I started sharing. I had lived in a tiny house that my dad and I had built together. And so originally I had been posting about that and that whole process and how, everything came together. And then once I bought my house, I started sharing my house story and me finding furniture and me putting furniture in certain places of the house, and people really like that. And so I was like, okay, I can just slowly transform my page into same project idea and project based, and just share my projects furniture this time and not necessarily home projects. I still do some home projects, but I've just kind of slowly shifted the type of content that I create, and I really do enjoy it. And it's not too terribly difficult to get a whole lot of content to put out just because I do it so much. But yeah, that's kind of how it slowly shifted over to just furniture projects and flips.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Now let me ask you, what's one flip that you felt like was a next big flip for you, and not something necessarily that brought profit, but one that really helped you to keep going and saying, you know what, I'm going to keep doing this, keep sharing it on social media.
Yeah, for sure. I would say there wasn't anything like one in particular, but there is a certain process. It's where a lot of people in my area paint furniture. I would say I'm not much of a painter. Don't get me wrong. I feel like everyone can paint. And so to make me stand out, I chose to start paint washing. I was just watching TikToks, watching YouTubes, and what paint washing is you sand the wood all the way down to the raw wood, and instead of staining it, you mix any kind of paint with a water. I typically use a tan wash paint and mix it with water, and then you wipe it on and then wipe it off. So it basically neutralizes all the orange, reds, and yellows in the wood, and it creates more of a, I would call it a farmhouse natural wood look. And so that process alone on any piece that I have put out is definitely kind of like the big moment of, okay, wow, I can do really good with this. They sell really well. Everyone loves whenever I put out pieces like that. And so I would say it was more of a process than it was a specific piece.
Nice. And I hear that owning a really good spray paint gun helps as
Hmm.
well. So would you say that is true?
Absolutely.
Have you went through more than one, just trying to find the kind that you like, or that you just nail it right on the head when you first bought your first one?
Oh, absolutely. I would say whenever I am painting pieces, I have probably, I want to say I've had five. I currently only use two. And honestly, I would say I'm very lucky. I started off with one from just a garage sale. It didn't last long. It lasted one try, and I threw that darn thing away. But someone actually messaged me on TikTok saying, "Hey, like, can I send you this sprayer?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." And so it's actually every single sprayer that I have now is from TikTok, but I use them religiously. I use them all the time. And there's sprayers for different types of projects for sure. So I have one for, spraying a top coat. I have one for spraying the actual paint. But yes, absolutely. If you have a not good sprayer, it really just kind of lets you down with the finished products. You're like, wow, I know it could have been so much better, but it's because of the sprayer. So if you have a good one, then honestly, you can put out more pieces and the final look just looks so much better.
Yeah, I was watching a lot of your videos with you
Mm-hmm.
using your sprayer because as I'm starting to do these interviews, like I'm a big appliance guy. I buy and sell a lot of appliances, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
starting to interview a lot of people who flip furniture. So I said, you know what, I want to try this, and so I got me a sprayer from Wagner here recently, and I said I'm gonna
Yep.
try some stuff.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Oh my goodness! So let me ask you. You may have already hit on this, but what's something you wish you may have known earlier about the process that would have saved you some time or money that you know now?
I mean, I would just say don't be hesitant to try something new. Um, I've sat on multiple pieces in my garage, not wanting to ruin it. And so I would sit and contemplate different things that I could do to them, different processes. And at the end of it, I should have just started on it and then let it, blossom from there. I've tried pretty much a new process or new step on every single piece I've ever touched just because everything is made differently. Um, antiques are made differently than particle board dressers. You have to do different processes and different steps. So you never really know what you're going to get into and what type of processes you're going to have to do on each piece. So just even though if you're lacking in confidence, just start on it. Like don't wait and just, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. Like, what if I ruin it? If you ruin it, then okay, start on a different one or change your tune. Say if you sand through a veneer, all right, now you're gonna have to paint it. No big deal. You just have to just don't let something weigh on you or keep you down from keeping on doing what you want to do.
Nice, nice. And now I'm always intrigued just when I see furniture flippers and thrifters and resellers who have massive followings, 20,000 plus.
Hmm.
Is there a particular time when your numbers really started increasing when you started doing certain content, or has it always just steadily started? You just been increasing over the as you post.
Yeah, I would say it originally spiked whenever I posted some tiny house tours back in 2020. I've been on and off TikTok for a few years. So I'll go through, a 6-month period of posting and then I won't post for 2 years. So
Right, right.
it definitely it definitely spiked in 2020. When I bought my house, I definitely stopped posting for a little bit just because I was more focused on getting that done and moving in. But once I really started putting my time and effort into actually showing the creation of my flips on TikTok and really putting in work on my furniture flip process, I think that's where people like to learn. And so it's definitely started to spike probably 6 months ago again. And so I'm going to try to be really consistent and just keep that going because there definitely is potential for, even making money on TikTok, not just from furniture, but just posting my creations and then benefiting from that on TikTok as well. So yeah, it's
Absolutely.
just slowly been going up.
That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I talked to quite a few content creators, and that's what they're saying. As you start to be consistent, there's just revenue behind the scenes, and so as I
Yeah.
see your numbers, and then you have great content as well. Like I'm enjoying seeing what I'm seeing, and I know a lot of
Well,
your followers are as well. So that's pretty cool.
yeah, well, thank you. I really appreciate that. That's kind of my goal. So as long as at least one person's happy and willing to watch, then that's all I'm here for.
Now, I heard you say your father was in woodworking. Would
Mhm.
would you ever be open to creating original pieces from scratch, or will you always look for furniture to restore?
I've thought about it. Honestly, I don't know if I would even want to start or create something from scratch. It would be really neat. I would probably do that for myself personally instead of selling it for a profit. Um, I just genuinely love antique furniture and old stuff that has history so much more that I would prefer to use my time on pieces like that. I'm just more of an antique. I would call it granny core type. um, So I don't know if I would ever really, I have the ability to do something and create something, maybe shelving units or built-ins for, say, my own home. But other than that, I probably wouldn't dabble in trying to create furniture myself.
Okay, and that makes sense. What
Hmm.
about teaching a class to some locals? Would you be open to doing something like that? Because my mind's always churning as I'm listening to these interviews, and you said there
Yeah.
are only 2 other furniture flippers in your area. What about teaching a class?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would always be open to something like that if an opportunity came up. I would say the town that I'm in is fairly small. Majority of people are college students.
Okay.
And so if there was ever a big enough interest, I would say yes, but I would be very surprised just because the population is so much smaller than other areas such as like Dallas and Austin.
Okay. Okay. And is there a college town near where you are, or no?
Yes, Texas A&M.
Oh my good. And when I tell you, and you deal mostly in furniture, but they say, and my sons are all out of college now, but whenever these students leave, a lot of them leave a lot of stuff in the trash cans in their dorms, and a lot of these flippers go crazy.
They do, and it's absolutely insane. You have to know when they're moving out, and I really did not know about that or even think about it for that matter because my garage has always been full. But I'm always driving around looking on the curb. Like I know trash pickup is on Friday. So now when I'm driving around town, I'm like, what's gonna be out there by the dumpster on the road? And
Right.
you have to watch out for stuff. You never know if you're gonna pick up something nasty or like you know, it just depends on the area. If you're going through college dorms or college housing, shoot, you can probably pick up some really nice pieces. I would say majority of my clientele are college students or their parents furnishing their college kids home. So you never know. You might pick up some really cool stuff. But yeah, no, it's very entertaining the end of each semester driving around.
I bet, especially with Texas A&M, that is a pretty large campus. So
It
wow.
is, and it just keeps on getting bigger too.
Now let me ask you: have you run across anything that I wouldn't say is dangerous, but has been harmful? Whether insects, I've come across one furniture flipper who said she had black widows in some dressers that she got, and
Oh my.
another one with wasp everywhere, and then somebody else who found out that she was allergic to some of the chemicals that she was using, and it was making it hard for her to do her flipping, but she changed her process.
I mean, I would say no, not really. I
That's good.
might be surprised by, some things that I find in the back of drawers, that people don't know went back there. But really, the only thing that I've dealt with is like some lady put mothballs everywhere in her furniture pieces, and that smell was potent. It took a very long time to get that out, but that's really the only thing that I've, come across of that nature.
That's funny you said mothballs, because as I hear you say you deal with antique furniture, I was born in the 1900s, and so my grandmother had mothballs everywhere. So yes.
Yes. Yes. I was like, you don't smell it until I went and opened the drawer and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever smelled it be that strong. I was like, this sucker's gonna have to air out for months. But yeah, that's really been the only thing, thankfully. I kind of know, what area, like what things to stay away from. But other than that, no, I really haven't had anything too crazy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now let me ask you, along in your journey, has there been a podcaster or maybe a YouTuber or a book or two that has helped you in your flipping journey?
Oh man.
Or has it just been dad, and he's great as well?
I would say, I mean, he's definitely the handyman and helped me in that sense. I wouldn't say there's been anyone in particular. I would always just research and just watch whatever videos pop up, recommended to what I was trying to learn in that moment. Um, but no one in particular. I mean, I don't know if I could even name off who I have watched. It's been a lot. Like I would say a lot of my feed really is furniture flipping,
Yeah.
but I don't know if I could tell you who I've necessarily learned from.
Well, the good thing is people are absolutely learning from you. So hopefully I come across somebody who says, yeah, I learned from McKean.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I love getting messages. I get a lot of messages from people, asking for recommendations like, oh, what would you do here? What would you do there? And I guess me answering all those people are starting to comment like, oh my gosh, thank you for helping me. I just really enjoy that. Like, I love helping people if they ever have any questions like, oh, on a process or what would you do different here versus there? And so I do hope that I can help people in the process of trying to learn how to do all of this.
Wow. And as I hear that, I'm like, okay, there's an ebook. There's a new YouTube video right there with all
Yeah,
these questions you're
yeah,
getting.
yeah.
So as we get ready to land this plane, McKean, let me ask you, is there any advice that you would give someone who may be hesitant to start a side hustle, whether flipping furniture or restoring? Is there something small they can do this week just to get started?
I mean, honestly, just browse Facebook Marketplace. Browse. Everyone has their own different interests. You can make money reselling paintings, artwork, home decor. It doesn't have to be furniture. Furniture is very difficult. It's very heavy. Not everyone can do that, especially on their own. So anyone can be a reseller. Anyone can do and be creative. So it just depends on what their interests are. But just don't be scared to start. If you find a piece that catches your eye, like I said before, okay, well, that's going to catch the eye of other people. So let's see if you can make money. Even if it starts off as $30, $50 of profit, then you just got to start somewhere. I would say my first profit was maybe $20 and I was jumping up and down. I was like, whoa, I can actually make a little bit of money. Okay, what can I make more money on? And it'll just start expanding and blowing up from there, especially when you start researching what people value and what people are looking for, especially in like the interior design world. People are always looking for stuff. People are always going to be adding to their home, but definitely sticking to home things. Someone can definitely be successful. It doesn't really matter what it is, and just not be scared to fail.
That right there was very powerful. Not be scared to fail. And so, McKean, I thank you so much just for your wisdom, your insight, and just for taking time out and just chatting with me here on this Friday on the Next Big Flip podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. You have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.